Alyssa, Bad Mom Jokes, and something fabulous was happening here in front of me. So I just said, let's start a live video with comedian Dante Nero and his lady. Can we get a name at least? What's your name? Poppy. Well, hello, Poppy. Gorgeous. And you were telling me that you used to be a parent.
Yeah.
You're like, I've moved on.
Yeah, my daughter's grown.
How old is she? Here, let's get the microphone closer.
My daughter's 24.
Yeah. 24?
Yeah, she's 24.
Okay. All right. It's okay. You don't need to worry about the microphone. I'll just try to put it out of frame over here somewhere. So your daughter is 24.
She's 24.
An independent woman.
Yeah,
very.
Good
for her.
Rock climbing. She's trying to get a commercial pilot license.
Okay.
She rock climbs. She Spartan races. She kayaks, hang glides. She's off the hook. Yeah.
Good for her. And now, what does she think of your comedy?
Oh, she loves it.
Oh, I love it. That's great. She's supportive.
She's kind
Did
of
she
doing her
grow
own
up
thing.
around it?
Yeah.
And how was that?
I've never been somebody who hid anything from her.
Good.
So she used to sit in the clubs.
Yeah.
And everybody would, whatever racy stuff they would do, she would hear it, and then.
Yeah. How old was she when you started letting her hang out?
Probably 9.
Okay.
9,
yeah.
10.
I think that's a good age.
Like
I
all
feel
the comics
after
knew
7,
her.
you know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, the internet. If you're not teaching them, the internet is.
Exactly. So you better do it.
Yeah.
And so, does she have a good sense of humor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, being around that.
She loves watching people bomb.
Isn't it the best?
Oh, she loves.
Oh my gosh, I say that all the time.
The
I'm like,
more
look, you
awkward.
guys.
And the more awkward, the more she loves it. The more committed somebody is to the bomb,
right.
She loves
well,
that.
And here's the thing. So, I've met some women that feel so awkward when someone's bombing. They feel responsible and they can't watch it. I had no idea that was a thing.
Well, that
is it empathy?
That is the
How
problem.
do you feel when you watch someone bombing?
It's the empathy because as a woman we're deeply empathetic.
We feel responsible for everyone, even strangers.
That is the thing that I find is a obstacle for female comics.
Yes.
It's the empathy. So
They
when you
feel-
find and I don't want to be the guy who says that women aren't funny because that's just not true.
No, it's just
not true. But the women who are funny, they say what they want to say, and they don't have
no filter.
they don't feel any guilt
Yes.
by what they're saying.
Yes.
And when a woman has that kind of maternal empathy, it stops her from being funny.
Dante.
Yeah.
I feel like you're my guru right now. Because the whole point of this channel is to figure out my voice as a mom, now that I'm a mom.
Right.
Because when I'm with my kids and I'm with other parents, there's a PC expectation. My kids are 3 and 6.
That's such a mistake.
Well, no, but listen me out. And then because you feel a certain responsibility when they're little to keep them safe, right?
Sure.
And then when I go to, say, the Comedy Store and I'm hanging out and I'm
Dante rules.
that's my witch. When I'm at the Comedy Store, I'm doing comedy and I feel that this is a 21 and over venue. This isn't like, we're entertaining kids.
Sure.
So I'm trying to figure out my voice as a mom and a woman. You know
When
what
you
I
say
mean?
your voice as a comic.
Yeah. Like,
Well, here's the thing that happens. How long you been doing comedy?
I first did it in 2014, but it's been very spotty because again I have kids. So I've been
if
in
you
the
put
thick.
it together, what would
Yes.
you? If you had to claim your?
Like how much time on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Let's say a year of doing it 3 times a week, whatever that would be.
Okay.
But over
So
the course
you're
of
a
4
baby.
years.
You're a baby.
I'm a baby. And that's
So-
why I
but
have to
here's-
find my
Here's the thing: your voice finds
Guru
you.
me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Your voice
Absolutely.
finds you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of young comics will go, "Well, I want to be a political comic. I want
Right.
to be a topical comic."
Right.
You have no
Don't force
idea.
it.
Just
Be
get
you.
on stage. As
Yeah.
you get on stage, you get on stage.
Yeah.
You get on stage.
Right.
Whatever feels comfortable will find you.
Right.
There's
Well, and
like.
see, I tend to be totally edgy and raunchy, and then balancing that because I have a family channel. I'm a YouTuber, so that I'm very aware is family friendly. So I'm trying. This is me creating Bad Mom Jokes. Is me creating a space where I can cuss, where I can talk about drugs, or I can talk about the things that are
but
me.
But
do
there's
you?
3 things
Yeah.
that you live by.
Yeah, what are the 3? I love it.
Is
Keeper.
authenticity, credibility, and empathy. So if you're
Love it.
true, if raunch is what you are,
Yeah.
You'll maintain
then you need
Yeah.
to maintain that raunch.
Yeah.
If because the audience clearly sees they can see an incongruency
yes.
between your truth and what you're saying.
Yes.
So like as I watch a lot of younger comics and they're on stage, they have an idea of what they want to be instead of just being
it.
what it is. And if you're authentic, and sometimes you being authentic is offensive to people.
Yeah.
But if your point is to, like, I don't want to say anything that hurts anybody's feelings. That's just not my.
You can't.
Right, but that's
yeah.
not my.
Right.
That's not my intention.
Sure.
So I think the intent is really important. So if
Right.
my intention is not to hurt, I
Yeah.
think that people understand that. So
Right.
even if they're offended or it's not their cup of tea,
Yeah.
they'll go with it because they
Yeah.
understand that my intent is not to offend.
Well, and I feel that a lot of people that watch comedy, they know what's going on.
Sure.
They went in there to be shocked. They went in there to press the blur the lines.
Maybe,
Or,
and some of them go there to be
Right.
offended.
Yeah, exactly.
So your
I think that's the
ego-
contract, right? It's
your-
not real life where
But
we're
your
like,
ego wants to be, your ego is in place to be offended. Your
be
ego
tested?
wants to go, how dare you?
interesting.
So, and then when we all have that.
Yeah.
And so the real idea is to start, as you become
Yeah.
more mature, is to suppress the ego.
Well, out in society, we've all been socialized, right? And I
Sure,
see it
sure.
happening in my son because he has this innate sense of humor.
Right.
And he's constantly entertaining people, but it gets him into a lot of trouble.
Sure.
Because he's out in the soccer
But
field.
there's a reason why that is. The
Yeah.
reason why it gets them in trouble is because people are liars. People are inauthentic,
yeah.
and because
Yeah.
because they want to cover up their inability in terms of to be honest, then they're offended. So
Yeah.
their offense is
So
to suppress
when you were a dad, well, you are a dad, but when your daughter was young and you're out at her activities or you're dealing with those parents or those other kids, how do you deal with that? Like, do you just go, I don't F you, I don't have time for you? Or do you
Well,
just kind of, whatever, that's just people?
What do you mean as far as dealing with her or dealing?
No, like just, how do I phrase this? Like, you're at the soccer match and your son is, doing slappy butt instead of kicking the soccer ball. And,
I'm not sure what slappy butt is, but okay.
Like, my kids think it's hilarious. Like, slappy butt. It's like, go kick the ball.
Right.
And it's like, he's just being his authentic self.
Right,
and
right.
if
There's a point to that. There's a level of there's what's appropriate
okay.
for the moment. I mean, if he's at soccer practice, he should be.
There's a time and a place.
Sure. But
Yeah.
you don't want to
clamp down
right,
on
or you don't want to
creativity.
oppress
Yeah.
that his
Right.
ability to be funny because
Right.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
a problem with that later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the kids can think on
Right.
multiple levels. I think
Right.
we feel like they can't
Yeah.
understand it. I think, but you can
They
make that
can.
distinguish. Sure.
Yeah.
The thing I always say, I was a nanny for over 10 years.
Okay.
I've raised
Wow.
lots of children. But the thing I always say is, if you're doing a good job, you teach your child action and consequence. And within that, you can teach your child that action has a consequence, and
Right.
whether that it may not be appropriate for that current situation. But I think that if you're doing your job right,
Right.
you've been able to convey your
Right.
child action
Yes.
and consequence, and
Yes.
the consequence of their action playing
Right.
slap ass on the game
Right.
field instead of
Right.
actually paying
Right.
attention
You
and
may,
focusing.
the other team might score a goal.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right, right, right.
yeah, and keep it simple.
Well, the other thing is, I think
Right.
there's a situation where if you just always stay authentic, whenever I see a mom that's asking the questions that you're asking, they're never far off from where they should be.
Yeah, they're never
It's always the
failing.
mother that feels like she knows exactly what she's doing is the one that's
Interesting.
way off from what she should be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you're
we're all flawed.
right, if you're
and
asking,
who really knows?
right. So
Yeah.
something I say is two things
Yeah.
about being a human being.
Yeah.
Being a human being is that
Right.
you will have to give forgiveness,
Yeah.
and you'll have to ask for forgiveness. That's part of just
Right.
being a human being,
Right.
and you'll need to do both of
Right.
those. So whenever you have somebody who's asking the question, am I strict enough? Am I not strict enough? Am I should I be teaching more? Should
Right.
those people are right in the ballpark?
Because they care enough to be
Right,
searching.
because they're constantly taking
Right.
stock of where they're at, where the kids
Right.
at, and they have an ultimate goal of where they want to see their kids
Right.
as these
They're
productive.
putting in the time to
Right.
see their influence and care about
But
it.
anytime you see somebody who's not asking those questions,
Right. Just
they're
thinks they have it figured out.
They're
Isn't
way
that true
off.
about everything though?
Yeah.
Like I see that with stand-up too. The most interesting stand-up comedy are people that are vulnerable,
Yeah.
that are teetering on the
Sure.
edge of like succeeding and failing.
Right.
You know, that
Sure,
really
sure.
keep
You gotta take
questioning.
risks.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
there's a technical aspect of it that
Sure.
where you learn, so you get a guy, I get this all the time. Oh, my friend's funny. I want you to see. It does that. Yeah. I mean, I know guys who are not funny,
Right.
who work really hard on the craft, who are technically so sound that they're funny, and it even feels natural.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are funny who don't work really hard, who
Because
kind
they
of
just go.
yeah, they just
And
go
they're just like, wow.
and
yeah.
then there's somewhere
all
in between
different,
that.
yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
so I think if you're asking the question,
Right.
you're in the ballpark.
Okay.
And you're never that far off from
Right.
being right.
Yeah.
Like it's the biggest jerk. Or I can say asshole. Can I say asshole?
Asshole, yeah, bad mom
So the
jokes.
biggest asshole. Assholes never worry about being assholes. They just are. And it's always
Isn't that so
it's
true?
it's
That
the
is so
nicest
true.
people in the world. Who are like, I don't want to come off like an asshole.
right,
so
right.
they're concerned
Yeah.
about where they're at.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to a level of progressiveness and maturity
right.
that people have when they're trying to express themselves in an authentic way,
Right.
but still considering other people's feelings.
Sure.
And all of those things are part of it.
Yeah, they're curious too.
And there's also a situation where
Curiosity is
people,
so
in this whole PC
Yeah.
thing where people are, when somebody's overly, when they're just, it's the false outrage and when it's the real outrage.
Right.
So if there's no real concern about
Right.
an idea, like if you don't care about something but you have an opinion about it, then you're not really being authentic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but if
I
you
do think authenticity is so important. The moment that, and I think the internet has made stand-up more challenging because maybe something that would work in the past, a formula or whatever, people really want real-to-life performances more than ever before because they can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, but you have so much on the internet
Yeah.
because it's such a short so you have people who are YouTube stars who haven't put their time into the clubs.
Right.
And so now they're selling these theaters out, right? Where they're selling these theaters out where these theaters are they're putting 500,000
Right.
people in a theater,
Wow.
and they don't really have the chops.
Because they haven't
Because they haven't done the
experienced-
work.
Absolutely, I can
And
see
so
that.
you see, but
You can't skip it. You can't skip ahead. Yeah.
But they do.
And they sell the tickets,
and they
then
sell
they
the
get the
tickets, and
representation, 'cause there's
somebody
money flow.
goes, hey, this person, you may think they suck, and you may never, but there's
A following.
the internet is such a big
Yeah,
thing that
it's
you're
interesting.
constant, there's a sucker born
Yeah.
every minute. So
Yeah.
it's more people that'll watch your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and then they'll,
Follow you around.
yeah. But I think
Yeah.
it also goes to whether or not what you particularly want. Like I've
Right.
always wanted to be a comic that other comics watch
Yeah.
because who knows better?
That's whose opinion you respect the most.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, the audience.
absolutely.
I've been doing it long enough that when I walk on the stage, I know I'm going to do well.
Right.
Because they're sheep. These
Right.
are plumbers and secretaries
Right.
and businessmen and finance people and bankers.
Right.
None of them are funny.
Right.
They have
no idea what you're about
right.
to do.
And
You got 'em.
And they,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to a bank and tell a finance guy
Right.
what to do, but he doesn't
Right.
get to come into my
Yeah,
show and tell
you
me
what
what's
to do.
funny because
Yeah.
I've been.
But other comedians know the craft, and so if you get
to
their
a certain,
respect,
at least they respect what they can
Yeah.
see the nuance of what you
Right.
do
Absolutely.
on another level where somebody who's just a
went-
patron,
Yeah.
they don't get it.
Absolutely.
And we've
There's
all
different
made
layers.
we've all made
Yeah.
sacrifices,
Right.
to do this.
Right.
That the people who come to see you have no idea the sacrifices
course.
that you made. I mean,
Of
you have your whole rig here,
Yeah.
you're dragging us
Right.
here, you're doing
Right.
it.
I have no idea what I'm
right,
going to be,
right,
who
so-
I'm going to meet, or what I'm
right,
going to do,
so
or if
it's-
there's the
but you-
internet.
Yeah, but
You just do it.
You do
Yeah.
it because you love it.
My kids
and-
are in the lobby crying. My husband.
Right.
The part people don't see. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
so the sacrifice
Yeah.
that you made should be measured by the way that you let judge you.
Right. And what's interesting that you said that about the sacrifice, and I think that's why there's a lot of respect amongst comedians, is we know each other's sacrifice and what it means to us to do this, even though it's kind of thankless
Right.
on a lot of levels.
You would do it for free. I mean,
A lot of people do.
I did it
and
for free
so
for a long
there's
time.
a certain amount of respect. Like, even if you're not a great comic, you're here, you're showing up,
Right.
you're part of
Right.
this tribe of people
Right.
that
Because this is what
care
you
about
want to do.
laughter.
This is
want-
what you want to
and
do.
it's kind of almost like our church.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so there
Sure,
is
sure.
like another level to it too.
It's a funny thing because I know
Yeah.
even people who are peripheral
Yeah.
comedians like bookers and
Yeah.
managers
Yeah.
and waitresses, they have a really hard time, like especially women have a really hard
Yeah.
time dating civilians, like what
We're
we call
spoiled for
the
civilians.
daywalkers,
Yeah, the
because
daywalkers,
they
that's
don't
right.
they don't really understand the wit and the
Yeah.
constant
Yeah.
sharpness of
Yeah.
hanging out with comedians.
Yeah,
Like
we're definitely spoiled for people that don't get it.
I could be at a club
Yeah.
with 5 comics,
Yeah.
3 or 4 comics
Yeah.
that I know that I don't even really hang out with,
Yeah.
and it could be the best time ever.
So much fun.
Just
Yeah.
because we're there.
Everyone's on the
and
level.
and it may not even happen. Those 4 people may not even be people that I hang out with because
Right.
they're part of that family.
Yeah.
And it's the best time
Yeah.
ever. And then when you go and you talk to civilians and they're
They're
like,
like,
oh, I just got a new snowblower. And you're like,
You're like,
you know.
please, next. I have noticed that. So I got back into comedy and stand-up in February of this
Mm-hmm.
year. My daughter's just turned 3. And now I just don't have patience to hang out at brunch with my mom friends. I've noticed that. I get a little itchy. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, ladies, like they keep inviting me to drink night. I'm like, you know what? If I get out of the house, I'm going to hit the mic. Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm good. Like I know
you
what I
get
want.
spoiled.
You know,
you get
do
spoiled
get
from it.
spoiled. Yeah.
And the people.
Yeah, but that's
and
all
so
right. Yeah.
comics, when it's funny,
Yeah.
something happens, we all
Right.
think the first funny thing, but
Yeah.
then we go deeper
Yeah.
to that,
Keep pushing.
and the person that goes the
Yeah.
deepest is the person that you respect the most.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you follow comedy like for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
Patrice O'Neill was one of my best friends. I don't know if you ever seen him.
I have to say there's a few black holes in my
Yeah.
comedy timeline,
Well,
but
Patrice
I will
was
check.
probably one
I've
of
actually-
The black hole is the perfect
Yeah.
way to describe
And
Yeah,
here's
yeah.
the thing is this, and talking to comedians on a regular basis has exposed me to so many people that otherwise popular
Yeah.
culture maybe isn't giving the respect
Sure,
they deserve.
sure,
So
sure.
now like I'm going to check out your friend and this comedian,
Yeah.
and then
Well, we're talking,
you-
like, this dude is
and we'll
legendary.
Yeah, of
Like-
course, and that's what I found. These
Yeah.
people are like huge, and
Yeah.
it's like, why do I not know about them?
Yeah, he
It's a secret society.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And until
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got your show,
Right.
Until you got your television
Yeah.
show, or
Yeah.
until you because he just started blowing up probably in 2010, and then,
Okay, got
then he
it.
passed away in 2011.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I remember when I first got into comedy, seeing
Yeah.
him, and I was like, does anybody
Wow.
understand what is
Wow,
going on
wow.
here?
Yeah.
Like really, like groundbreaking
Yeah.
stuff. And it's a funny thing. It's because we were talking about this the other day, how there's so many comics. So like
Yeah.
I grew up watching Jerry Seinfeld
Right.
and Ray Romano, and
Yeah,
I was a
sure.
guy who would,
Right.
when I was a kid, stay up late to see
Yeah.
Johnny Carson or see Letterman
Yeah,
and see
yeah.
who was the comic. And I was talking to somebody who's a big fan of Eddie Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Oh, Eddie Murphy," and I go, "Yeah, but if you watch Delirious and Raw, where
Hmm. Yeah.
for what it is,
Yeah.
it's not that great. It's really kind
Right.
of middle of the road kind of
Right.
hacky stuff."
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
He's
I
a
try to get rid of her, but she won't go.
Thrust, baby.
I wouldn't want you to go
No, I'm not
anywhere
gonna
personally.
But you,
Yeah.
I forgot my point.
No, you were saying if you watch it, it's not
watch
all
it.
Right,
that.
right. So,
yeah.
so then
Yeah.
we were talking about
Right.
that and how
Yeah.
comedy has evolved.
Right.
So,
Like, I don't know if you've watched Delirious anytime recently or anything like that, but it
Yeah.
is first 5 minutes he does a whole bit on gay, on
Right.
massively.
super
I
homophobic.
can't.
It's,
Yeah.
so homophobic.
Yeah.
which I get the
is-
point.
right,
You know,
right.
the time of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're also
I
talking
just
about.
did an hour. My friend Lizzie walked by, and I think I did like a double awkward blank. So,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how comedy
Yeah.
has progressed so much
Right.
further now.
Right.
How we're basing it in a reference. That
Right.
it's
Some things stand the test of time,
Sure,
and some don't.
sure.
Yeah.
And even on top of that,
Yeah.
I was talking to her about
Yeah.
Seinfeld's last special on Netflix.
Right.
So if you look at Seinfeld,
Yeah.
basically back when he was huge, and you look at his last
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
special, you see such a larger animation. Like he's so much more animated. Like
Interesting.
whereas he wasn't that before. He just had the jacket.
Right.
And the reality
Yeah.
of it is that we,
Yeah.
as comics,
Yeah.
push that needle. We move that needle. We move the boundary.
Yeah.
But Seinfeld is such a master in that he saw
Right.
that he needed to be more
He's
than he was,
adapted.
and he's
Yeah.
adapted.
Yeah.
in the clubs.
He's in it because he's right.
He's really focused on
Yeah,
what's
so
happening.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm from New York, so
Yeah.
on any given time, and I usually
Yeah.
will close the shows, right?
Right.
So and then they'll go, you're gonna go on a little
Yeah.
bit later because
Yeah.
George Wallace, Jerry Seinfeld, and Ray Romano are coming in,
Right.
and then then I have to close after
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So it's like these people are, they're in the clubs watching young dudes who are pushing the culture.
right.
They're pushing the culture
Yeah.
and making
Yeah.
it even more and more.
Right, and then they pick up on it, and they have a
take it.
platform. Well, because before we started recording, you were talking to this guy. He's like, "Oh, people don't really do that in comedy. Still eat each other's material."
Oh
And I
yeah,
was like,
because
"What?"
we police
But
ourselves.
we do police ourselves, but I do think in a lot of ways, I mean, it depends on how scrupulous you are, because the bigger, like, it's kind of like the more famous person gets to you know what I mean?
Sure,
Like,
but in
claim
the
it, I don't know.
context, but we know it.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
So when the whole thing went
Yeah.
down with
Yeah.
Carlos Mencia
Yeah.
and Joe Rogan called out Carlos Mencia, Joe Rogan was a respected comedian.
Right.
So if he was
Right.
saying it,
Yeah.
it was.
But if he hadn't been, like, say he's just
Well, he lost his manager because of that.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
but ultimately,
Yeah.
everything water seeks its own level.
Right.
So ultimately, Carlos Mencia,
Yeah.
look, he's still gonna make money because
Right.
he's a talented dude.
Right.
But he's not selling out arenas.
Right.
He's, he might be doing clubs.
Right.
Might be selling out clubs, but he's not
Right.
selling out arenas,
Right,
and he's
right.
barely selling out theaters
Right.
because there's a level of authenticity that he
Right.
never had in the first place.
Right.
And he really kind of owned that.
Yeah.
Like he actually said, "Yeah, I steal it, and I'll do it better."
Oh,
and,
wow.
and the comics were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay,
Oh,
well, we're
no.
not."
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
he definitely policed that.
Yeah, I have a question for you. So I found out that the grand prize of this event is like you get your own TV, or you get a TV spot, or what was the thing?
I don't
Do
even.
you know? Did
We've
you
been
read
trying
about
to.
it?
Yeah, no,
So,
something
because last night I met the woman who says I'm doing that. Like she's the TV exec for, and I don't know if it's a TV like on internet. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
channel it is. I don't know that many details.
sure it's a cable
and
channel.
yeah, something like that. Like, do you guys get to pitch your own show, or do
I
they
don't
give
know.
you
I
some?
have
They
no
get
idea.
you a stand up. Like you get to do a little stand up. I'm really curious. I feel like this is your show right here. Like it's just like a fabulous
Dante already
like
has
guru.
He already has his own podcast.
Nice.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's
Yeah.
actually a relationship,
Got it.
relationship podcast.
Okay, so this
is
So
your
he
thing.
is very
Yeah.
much a guru.
I'm getting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Man School 202. It was originally the Beige Phillips Show.
Okay.
It's like the ghetto Dr. Phil, but we
Okay.
rebranded Man School
Man School
202.
202. Okay,
Yeah.
great, awesome.
Yeah, so I've
Cool.
been doing that for about 6 years.
Nice. Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
and doing comedy. I've been
Yeah.
doing comedy for about 18.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so
Awesome.
just you
Yeah.
there's a weird thing. There's a celebrity. There's an overall celebrity, and there's a
Right.
celebrity amongst the comics.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
when you go on stage, and the young comics are sitting in the back watching you.
Yeah.
Because they get it.
Right.
And like I remember when I started doing comedy.
Yeah.
This is a quick story. Like it was. I
Yeah,
was
yeah, let's hear it.
was in a club
Yeah.
in New York City, Stand Up New York,
Yeah.
and Chris Rock was there. Chris Rock came in, and so did Dave Attell.
Yeah.
And at the time, Dave Attell was, we called him the comics comic. And so when Dave went on stage, if you were a young comic,
You're just dying.
you went in and
Yeah.
watched.
Yeah.
And so Chris was outside and Dave Attell was outside.
Yeah.
And Dave went up, and then all the comics left the bar and went in to watch Dave. And Chris was like, I guess we're going to watch Dave. So it's
Right.
like, you know, and not to say that we watched Chris as well.
Of course, but there
the
is a
point was,
respect.
yeah,
Yeah.
was a guy who really hadn't really gotten his bones, made his
Right.
bones as
But
far.
you
and
guys
still
saw
had-
what he was doing and
we
you
knew what he was doing on
respected full- yeah,
stage,
of course.
and it was
Yeah.
just, and
Right.
ultimately, you know, he got a show with Comedy Central, which was The
Right.
Insomniac, and then he just kind of does stand up now.
Right.
Whereas Chris was doing all kinds of
Right.
production, but these guys, we're really
Yeah.
lucky. Like I was really lucky to see
see
these
it,
guys
to be a part of it in real time.
and guys, you
Yeah.
know, and you knew where you were at.
Yeah.
And now this, you know, with the whole internet thing, it's guys, they do it around
Yeah.
that. They don't.
Right. They don't need.
You don't have to
Yeah,
make your
there's
bones
that-
in the clubs
right.
anymore.
Yeah.
But not making your bones in the clubs is also.
I think
know.
if you truly are a stand-up comedian, you gotta be in
You
the
gotta go
clubs.
to the
You
clubs.
gotta. It's like
It's funny. I watched Kevin
gotta.
Hart. He's pretty
Yeah.
good. Not a great friend of mine,
Yeah.
but a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Like I remember when he came
Right.
from Philly to New York,
okay.
and he was a guy who just took risks. He was
Right.
an amazing dude who
Yeah.
was good to everybody, took
Right.
risks, and he was the guy. If there was 3 seconds left in the basketball game, he was the guy who went, give me the ball, let me shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Even if he couldn't, even if he wasn't gonna, he
Get it,
would,
yeah.
he would take the
No
shot.
fear of
He was
failing.
fearless.
And I think you have to,
Oh, yeah.
right? You have to. And
But that
he's
level of
just like,
success
yes, for everything.
is
Yeah.
such because he was so fearless.
It's awesome.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of fearless, but I'm
I
not.
think you do have to be missing that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
do. I've seen that with actors too. Like they're missing that like
Yeah.
filter where they are self-aware.
Yeah,
You know, because
sure.
they.
Well,
you
they're
just-
very aware,
yeah.
but just willing to. You know,
Sacrifice.
you're like,
Right.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yeah. You
man,
gotta have a one-track
yeah,
mind.
that
Yeah.
kind of fearless. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, he was a fearlessness. I
Right.
still talk about it to this
Yeah,
day.
wow.
It was just this kind of force
Right.
that he had, and he wanted to be famous, and he knew it.
He knew it.
when nobody else knew it, and
Yeah.
and when managers and people.
Isn't that the truth when you know it about yourself and no one else? That takes the most strength, I think.
Sure, sure.
Because once, I mean, now it's like Kevin Hart.
Right.
So I feel that catapults you up because you're feeling the energy of all the people agreeing with
Sure,
your position
sure.
as being famous.
And
So
he
to
was
know
a-
it before.
He was also a dude who was just good to everybody.
Right.
Like he didn't change
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
Like
and I was just talking to my husband about this last night because he works in the industry, and I was saying, haven't you noticed that the A-list celebrities are like the ones you really love and
You
want to
like,
be with?
yeah.
And I think it's because if you are that way, people want to be with you. They want you to rub off on them. They want your love and your energy,
Sure,
and,
sure.
and I think there's so much of that.
Gravitate towards that as a
Yes,
human.
yeah,
He has
yeah,
that same
yeah.
energy that when you're in a
Yeah.
room, people can tell. He's
Yeah, look what
genuine.
happened. You guys were just sitting here. I'm like, hey. I'm like, is this too close?
But
Yeah.
he's so genuine
Right.
and authentic
Right.
and always maintains himself. that
Yeah.
People are just naturally gravitate towards
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
They're curious about
Right.
it above anything else.
Yeah.
And they put you on a level that maybe it's not. It's like I'm a human being just like they're human beings.
Sure.
Okay, and I do this and I've practiced this for a long time.
Yeah.
But they're human beings. So we
Yeah.
we went to breakfast at Denny's.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting out waiting for the
Right.
Uber, and this lady comes out and she goes, I don't know, I've seen you on some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you do movies? And
Yeah.
I've done some acting
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they were like,
She was like, I'm sorry. I
she
don't
went
want
over
to
there, and I'm like, no,
She's
it's
like,
fine.
I was just, I'm sure
I just went,
I've
I've seen you,
Aw.
and I was like, well, you want to take a picture? And she goes, yes. And then she went, and so but that
Right.
moment
Yeah.
for her it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And how much does, man, I mean, what did it take us? 10 seconds, 15
Right.
seconds
Right.
to
To make
go,
her really
to
happy.
just to see
Yeah,
people.
definitely.
You know, they want to
Yeah.
be seen.
Right.
And they give you more value because
Right.
of what you do. And so
Yeah.
just seeing them
Right.
is everything for
Yes,
them.
yeah.
And so, I mean, but this is again, you know, going back to authenticity,
Right.
credibility, and empathy. It's to see that this little moment could
Yeah.
mean something to this person,
Absolutely.
to change their day.
Right.
And why not? I mean, what
Give
does it
that-
cost you?
Well,
Why
and
not give
that's
it?
kind of why I mean, I don't know about you, but even from a young age, when there were adults around, I'm like, what can I do to entertain them, to make them happy?
Right, sure.
We have something in us that wants to provide that.
Sure,
and
sure.
so how great that you have that moment
Sure.
to like give that to that
Sure,
woman,
sure.
you know.
So it makes you
What's
feel
the whole
better, and
point? Yeah.
makes them feel
Yeah.
better, and
Absolutely.
everybody's better.
Well,
It's a
I
better.
feel better. Thanks, you guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Dante. This is awesome. All right, I have to pee, to be
All right.
honest.
Can I plug my
Yeah,
own?
plug, yes,
Okay,
please.
so I have a podcast.
Yeah.
It's called Man School 202, aka The Beige Phillips Show.
Yes.
And if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram,
Yeah, what's your
I'm
Instagram?
The Dante Nero, DanteNero, The Dante Nero. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. I'm sure I'm already following you.
All right. Okay. All right.
But you guys can follow him too. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Do you
you.
have an Instagram? You're so gorgeous. Well, she'll be on his Instagram. All right. Bye, you guys.